Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something super interesting, the whole growth mindset idea.
Oh, yeah. That belief that we can actually develop our abilities and smarts.
Exactly. And we're digging into this awesome article called What is a Growth Mindset and How to Develop It in 9 Steps. Seriously, this stuff is gold, especially if you're the type who, loves to learn and level up, which I know you are.
I think what's really cool is how it totally flips the script on how we usually think about our potential.
Right. Like we're so used to saying, ugh, I'm just bad at math or I'm not creative at all.
Totally. But what if, and stick with me here, what if that's just like a story we're telling ourselves?
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
What if we can actually rewrite that story?
That's exactly what this article is all about. It kicks off by defining a growth mindset as, well, believing that our abilities and intelligence, they can be developed.
It's not about being born some kind of genius.
It's more like realizing your brain is this amazing muscle that you can totally train and make stronger.
Yeah, with the right workout, right? And that's where the difference with a fixed mindset comes in.
Oh, you mean that whole you're stuck with what you got kind of thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that belief that, oh, we're just stuck with whatever abilities we were born with. And that creates, well, limits. But limits we make up ourselves.
Hmm. So it's like saying, I could never run a marathon because I'm just not a runner.
Exactly. But, and I'm sure you've seen this too, we know tons of people do incredible things they never thought possible.
Yeah, like with enough training and what's the word? Dedication, people can totally surprise themselves.
Totally. So, you're getting it. It's not about some magical talent gene.
It's way more about effort and having the right strategies.
100%. And honestly, isn't that kind of a relief? It means we're not just stuck.
That is actually pretty freeing when you think about it. But okay, I got to ask, what are some real, tangible benefits of this whole growth mindset thing?
Oh, it totally translates to real world results. Think about resilience, how well you bounce back from setbacks. Think about being adaptable. Can you thrive when things around you are constantly changing?
Yeah, yeah. And what about problem solving? Can you approach those tough situations with a creative solution-oriented mindset?
All those things are linked to a growth mindset. Makes sense, right? If you believe you can learn and grow, you're more likely to stick with it, adapt, and figure out solutions when stuff gets tough.
There's this one line in the article that really stuck with me. Challenges become opportunities, not roadblocks.
Ooh, that is good.
Right. It's so simple, but it totally changes how we see obstacles. That's what's so cool about this growth mindset idea. It's not just some abstract thing.
It can actually change our lives. You
Right.
totally nailed it. It's about rewiring our brains to see possibilities instead of getting stuck on limitations.
And this isn't just some feel-good philosophy.
No way. It's backed by actual research. Carol Dweck, she's this pioneering psychologist. She spent decades studying mindsets, and her work shows that people with growth mindsets, not only do they tend to achieve more,
But they also enjoy the process more.
yeah, they're more motivated, more engaged, and way more resilient in the face of challenges.
Now, I know you have a story about this.
Uh-oh, you're going to call me out.
Something about French class. Don't try to deny it.
All right, all right. It's a little embarrassing, but back in school, I was convinced I was terrible at languages, really bad. I struggled through French, felt like I just didn't have that language gene.
Oh, I feel that. But then what happened?
Well, I had this professor, and they just had this aura of, you can totally do this. We focused on actual strategies, break things down, celebrated the tiniest wins all, very growth mindset.
Wait, so did you suddenly become fluent? Because that's kind of what I'm hoping for here.
Not overnight, sadly, but my mindset definitely shifted. I stopped being so afraid of messing up, started seeing the challenges as part of the process. And guess what?
Right. Yeah.
I got comfortable enough to actually travel through French-speaking countries. It was like unlocking this whole new part of the world.
See? Proof that this stuff actually works. Okay, let's get practical. This article gives us 9 specific steps to actually develop a growth mindset. What do you say we, tag team this?
Sounds good to me.
We can break down each step, make it make sense, and most importantly, figure out how it applies to, well, you, the listener. Ready to dive in.
Let's do it. And remember, this isn't just about listening passively. As we go through these steps, think about your own life.
Yeah, where do you see yourself falling into those fixed mindset traps? What are your biggest challenges, and how could a growth mindset help you, tackle those?
Ooh, good point.
Okay, so step 1 is all about recognizing those sneaky, fixed mindset traps. It's about catching yourself when you say things like, ugh, I'm just not good at that, or this is just how I am.
Oh, yeah, we all do that. The key is to become aware of those moments.
Right, like shining a spotlight on those limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
100%.
So then what? How do we actually break free from those fixed mindset traps?
That brings us to step 2, and this one's all about action. Embrace challenges.
Instead of seeing them as, like, threats.
Exactly. We need to view them as opportunities to learn and grow. Remember, every time you step outside your comfort zone, you're basically stretching your brain, building those mental muscles,
And the more you do it.
the stronger you become.
Okay, I love this whole embracing challenges thing, but let's be real, it can be kind of scary.
Oh, yeah,
It's way easier to just, like, stay comfy.
it is. But the magic really happens when we reframe our thinking. Instead of I can't do this, try I can't do this yet.
Ooh, I like that.
That yet is powerful.
Mm.
It means that with effort, with persistence, you can absolutely get there. And this article doesn't just leave us hanging with vague encouragement either. It gives us real strategies to tackle challenges.
Like what?
Things like breaking down a big task into smaller steps, more manageable ones, or setting realistic goals that push us, but not so much that we get overwhelmed.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between challenge and overwhelm, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's so crucial for anyone who's driven to achieve, like our listener. It's about pushing yourself, but also being kind to yourself along the way.
And speaking of being kind to ourselves, let's talk about failure. Because, well, let's be real, it's part of life. We all experience setbacks. But how do we deal with failure in a way that actually helps us grow?
That's where step 3 comes in, reframing failure. The article wants us to, like, shift how we see what failure means. Instead of a dead end, we should see it as valuable feedback.
Interesting.
Think of it as a stepping stone on the path to success, a chance to learn, adjust, and come back even stronger. I love that. It takes the sting out of failure, right?
Yeah.
It's not a reflection of our worth. It's
Yeah.
just like data, information we can use to get better. But I also think it's important to acknowledge that fear of failure can be paralyzing.
Oh, for sure.
It can stop us from even trying new things.
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to normalize failure, to see it as a key part of learning. Think about some of the most successful people out there. They've all had their fair share of setbacks, but they didn't let those setbacks define them. They learned from their mistakes and kept going.
Okay, so we've tackled the fear of failure, but now I want to talk about effort. Because, let's be honest, developing a growth mindset, it takes work. It's not like we just flip a switch, right?
Right.
It's a conscious choice we got to make every single day.
Mhm.
And that's where step 4 comes in, valuing effort. It's about realizing that real growth, real progress requires hard work, dedication. But it's also about appreciating the whole journey, not just the destination.
And don't forget those small wins along the way. The article is big on celebrating those milestones, no matter how small they might seem. Those little victories, they're proof you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and they can give you that extra motivation to keep going.
Totally.
Because it's so easy to get caught up in the big picture, the end goal, and we forget to, acknowledge the progress we're making every step of the way.
Yeah.
So for our listener who loves to learn and grow, celebrating those small wins, that's key.
Big time.
It's about recognizing how far you've come and using that momentum to keep pushing forward. But what about when we hit a wall? Like when things get tough and we just feel like giving up, how do we keep that growth mindset fire burning?
That's where step 5 comes in, cultivating persistence. It's like
Right.
recognizing that, yeah, setbacks are going to happen, but they don't have to completely derail us.
It's about having that grit, that determination to keep going even when things get tough. From your experience, what are some practical ways to cultivate persistence? Because I think that's something a lot of us struggle with, especially when we're learning something new and it's challenging.
You're so right. Persistence is key. One thing the article talks about is finding your why. Like, why is this goal important to you? What will reaching it allow you to do or even become? Connecting to that deeper purpose, that can really fuel your motivation, especially when you hit those roadblocks.
Right, because those are going to come up.
Oh, they definitely will. And don't underestimate breaking those big, scary goals down into smaller steps, more manageable ones. Each small win helps build momentum and keeps you moving forward. But sometimes we can get so stuck in our own heads, our own struggles, that we forget to ask for help.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And that's where step 6 comes in. Seek out constructive feedback.
This is one I used to really struggle with. I always thought of feedback as like criticism, someone just pointing out all my flaws. But the article really stresses that constructive feedback, it's actually a gift.
It is.
It's a tool to help us grow. It's about finding people who can offer like honest, helpful insights. And that can help you improve.
Yeah. But how do we find those people? And how do we make sure the feedback is actually helpful, not just like hurtful?
That's a good question.
Right. It's not just any feedback. It's got to be constructive. Look for people who are supportive, who genuinely want to see you succeed, but who will also be honest with you. Mentors, coaches, even trusted colleagues can be great sources of feedback.
So true.
And when you're getting that feedback, try to focus on what they're saying, not so much how they're saying it. Even if it stings a little, remember that the person is most likely trying to help you grow.
It's about like taking it in and using it to improve. This reminds me of something we talked about before, the idea of being around the right kind of people. And that's step 7, surround yourself with growth-minded people. Because, let's be real, the people we hang out with, they have a huge impact on our mindset.
It's like creating this ecosystem for growth, right? When you're around people who are positive, who love challenges, who are constantly learning and growing themselves, it rubs off on you. Their energy, their excitement, their belief in what's possible, it's contagious.
It's almost like those fixed mindset traps we talked about. They just become less effective when you're around people who are breaking free from them all the time.
Totally. Their actions, their attitudes, what they say, it all reinforces that growth mindset.
So it's not just about finding like a mentor or a role model. It's about building a whole community of people who have that growth mindset.
Exactly. And that can be online, offline, with your friends, at work. It's about having those people in your life who inspire you to be your best self.
To keep pushing forward, yeah.
And speaking of inspiration, let's talk about celebrating success, both our own and the successes of other people. Step 8, celebrate your small wins and the success of others.
This is such a powerful step because it's so easy to get caught up in that always striving mode,
Yeah.
always focused on the next goal, the next achievement.
Oh, for sure.
But actually taking the time to celebrate those small wins, to acknowledge the progress you've made, that can be incredibly motivating.
It's like shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Instead of feeling threatened by other people's successes, we can choose to be inspired by them.
I like that.
Their wins can show us what's possible and fuel our own goals. And by celebrating their wins, it creates a more positive, supportive environment where everyone feels encouraged to grow.
Okay, so we've talked about embracing challenges, reframing failure, the importance of effort, cultivating persistence, seeking feedback, being around growth-minded people, and celebrating those wins. What's the final step in this growth mindset journey?
Step 9 kind of brings it all together. It's about remembering that this is a journey, not a destination. It's about embracing this ongoing process of learning, evolving, and pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones.
So it's not about reaching some perfect state of growth mindset mastery. It's about realizing that we're all works in progress.
Exactly. It's about that constant evolution, that constant striving to be just a little bit better each day. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the article touches on something even bigger than just individual growth. It suggests that a growth mindset can have a ripple effect.
Oh, interesting. Like how?
It can influence our relationships, our workplaces, even society as a whole.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that before.
Right. It's pretty cool.
So zooming out and looking at the bigger picture, fostering a growth mindset isn't just about personal development. It's about creating a world that's more adaptable, innovative, and collaborative.
Exactly. Imagine a world where everyone embraced challenges, where failure was seen as a chance to learn, where continuous improvement was just the norm. That's a world with massive potential for progress and positive change.
I love that. It's like this collective shift, moving from a place of limits to a place of endless possibilities.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to our listener who's already on this path of growth. What are some ways they can use these principles in their own lives? What can they do today to start building a growth mindset?
It really does start with just being aware.
Yeah, like noticing when that fixed mindset voice pops up.
Exactly. And then actively challenging those thoughts that are holding you back.
So it's about switching from I can't to I can't yet.
Yes. And it's about celebrating those small wins. Remember those little victories, those moments when you push yourself outside your comfort zone? Those are the building blocks of a growth mindset. So acknowledge them, savor them, let them fuel your motivation.
It's about shifting our focus from the end goal to the journey itself and finding joy in the process of learning and growing. And I think for someone who clearly loves to learn, like our listener, that could be huge. But what about when we, hit those roadblocks, those times when we feel stuck, frustrated, maybe even like giving up? What advice would you give someone struggling to keep that growth mindset going?
First of all, you're not alone. Everyone deals with setbacks. Everyone has moments of self-doubt. It's totally normal. The key is to not let those setbacks define you. Remember those 9 steps we talked about? Those are tools you can use over and over again, not just a one-time thing. So when you hit a wall, go back to those tools. Think of failure as a chance to learn. Get some feedback from someone you trust. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. And most importantly, remember your why. Why is this goal important to you? What are you working towards? Reconnecting with that deeper purpose, it can really help you get your motivation back and push through those tough spots.
That's such good advice. It's realizing that this growth mindset, it's not a destination, it's an ongoing process. It's about accepting the ups and downs, the triumphs and struggles, and being kind to ourselves throughout the whole thing.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of one of my favorite lines from the article. It says, "Your future self will thank you." It's like a reminder that the effort we put in today to cultivate a growth mindset, it'll impact our whole lives, our relationships, our careers, our well-being. It's an investment in ourselves and it's an investment in the world.
That's a great way to put it. And I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the growth mindset. We covered a lot today. What a growth mindset is, why it's so beneficial, and those 9 concrete steps to develop it.
And remember, this is just the beginning. We've given you the tools, the insights, the inspiration. Now it's your turn to take action. Experiment, try new things, embrace challenges, and most importantly, don't be afraid to fail forward. The world needs your unique talents and perspectives, and a growth mindset is the key to unlocking your full potential.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. What's one small step you can take today to actually put these principles into practice? Maybe it's looking at a challenge in a new way, or maybe it's asking someone for feedback, or maybe it's simply celebrating a small win you've had. Whatever it is, take that step, embrace the journey, and trust me, your future self will thank you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep embracing the power of a growth mindset.
See you on the next deep dive.